Welcome back. Kids of all ages are getting back to school now, and for many, that can trigger some anxiety. We're joined now live by Tania DaSilva. She's a clinical director and lead therapist with Behaviour Matters for a look at what appears to be a growing issue and how we can help kids take more control of their worries. Tania, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Now, anxiety is nothing new, right? For back to school, for
Absolutely.
everyone involved. Particularly for maybe young kids, new Canadians, kids going to new schools, going from elementary to high school. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. We know that, but where's a good starting point?
So I think the first thing is, obviously when there's change or transition, there's going to be a little bit of anxiety, but there are ways to cope with it. So some of the tips and strategies that we use, I'll break them into three. One is you want to make sure that you're scheduling a worry period to talk to your child about those worries and concerns, and then validating their feelings, making them feel like it's normal and it's okay to feel that way. That's definitely a start. And then we always go into the planning, problem solving, and focusing on the positive. What I mean by that is you can do it through planning, so through role plays. You can do it through problem solving with focused, solution-focused questions like, how can you deal with this? What are 5 ways you can target this anxiety or deal with the situation if it does occur? As well as refocusing on the positive. What are they excited about? What are they looking forward to getting back to? What are they excited to try for the first time? And lastly is just getting the additional support.
Because I think for a lot, for anyone, isolation can be the default reaction, right? If you're having a tough time, you just close down. But it takes a little bit of, it takes talking it through to realize that, a problem shared is cut in half. You keep it inside, it just doubles and it tends to fester, right? Absolutely.
Well, that goes into the validation, right? So a lot of the times our natural first response is to be like, it's okay, that's nothing to worry about. It's nothing to worry about, right? So if someone hears that, it's like, oh, then I shouldn't be worrying about that, right? I shouldn't feel this way. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your phrasing. Are you helping or hurting the anxiety that the child's feeling?
What about social media? Kids are so connected. We've never been more connected, but many times even the social media aspect can be a very isolating experience. A kid can just try and work things out on their own, on a terminal, talking to people out there in the digital universe. That's really not a substitute for in-the-flesh conversation, is
Absolutely not. Well, and that's something at our clinic. We actually offer a lot of group programs, some focusing on social skill aspects as well as emotional regulation, because tons of these kids now are on their electronics all day. So what we always recommend is making sure that there's a limit for how long they're on the electronics, and making sure that they are taking part in actual real socialization, whether it's in extracurriculars or programs like ours where they're strengthening those skills in a fun, interactive way.
Now, real life gives you the test first and the lesson later, as opposed to school.
Yeah.
Their EQ and their IQ, their emotional quotient and intelligence quotient, both are going to get tested a lot early on, correct?
Absolutely.
So how do you sort of, strike that balance with your kid to know that it's okay to allow yourself to be expressive emotionally? You're there to learn, but, be yourself, right?
Well, and I think with that, we touch on humanizing, right? So even you do this every day, but I'm sure there's still times where you feel anxiety, right, about being on air. Same with me. Like, I talk to people about anxiety all day, every day, but I still get anxious too, right? So it's that normalizing piece where it's okay to go ahead and try, and maybe not to be as successful as you thought you were going to be, right? And learn from those experiences.
As parents, they're going to want to protect and shield their kids from any kind of bad experience, but sometimes you got to let them go through a little bit of hardship to learn what it's all about, right?
Absolutely. Well, and that's a big thing is we always talk about this. It's a lot of parents feel the anxiety, so they'll start keeping their kids home. You can't keep them home. It's reinforcing that anxiety. You got to get them out there. You got to help them plan and problem solve and work through it.
Tania DaSilva, pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.